What if I told you that becoming the woman he can't stop thinking about has nothing to do with how you look and everything to do with how you make him feel when you're no longer in the room? The truth is, obsession doesn't begin when you're standing right in front of him. It begins the moment you leave and he finds himself craving your presence, replaying your words, and wondering what makes you so unforgettable. Let's talk about the art of becoming his obsession. Not through pressure or pretending, but by mastering the power of emotional presence, mystery, and self-worth. When it comes to truly becoming someone's obsession, one of the most powerful things you can do is create emotional imprints. It's not about constantly being around or flooding someone with attention. It's about planting seeds in their mind that grow in your absence. And those seeds come from feelings, deep, impactful emotions that tie you to a memory, a moment, or a vibe they just can't shake. Emotional imprints are like bookmarks in a man's mind. They're the "I can't stop thinking about her" triggers, not because of what you wore or how you looked, but because of how you made him feel when he was with you. Think about the people in your life who've stuck with you over the years. Odds are they're the ones who made you feel something powerful. Maybe it was a moment of uncontrollable laughter, a deep late-night conversation where you felt totally understood, or even a playful teasing that left a smile on your face for days. Those moments don't fade easily. They linger, they echo in your mind, and that's exactly the kind of emotional residue you want to leave behind. When you're with a man, being present and connected is everything. If you're distracted, trying to perform, or worrying about what he thinks, you miss the chance to create that imprint. But if you're grounded in the moment, listening, laughing, engaging from a place of real emotion, you become unforgettable. People forget words, they forget outfits, they forget locations, but they remember how someone made them feel. If he feels alive, desired, respected, intrigued, or deeply connected in your presence, that's what his mind will return to over and over again. Creating emotional imprints also means understanding the value of contrast. If everything feels the same every time he sees you, there's no spike in emotion. But when moments vary, some light and fun, some deep and thoughtful, some unexpected and spontaneous, he's taken on a ride he can't predict. And that unpredictability becomes addictive. It keeps him mentally coming back, trying to figure you out, replaying scenes in his head, wondering what moment will come next. That curiosity, when paired with emotional depth, becomes the foundation of obsession. You also don't have to force anything grand. Sometimes it's the small, specific things that etch the deepest marks. A way you laugh when he says something ridiculous, the way you look at him when he opens up, the way you challenge him in a playful but confident tone. Even the energy you bring into a room, calm but confident, light-hearted but observant, can stick with him. It's about creating moments that he associates only with you because no one else made him feel that exact way. People chase what they feel safe enough to desire, but mysterious enough to want more of. When you create emotional imprints, you're doing exactly that. You're offering safety through presence, attention, connection, and at the same time, you're creating a hunger for more by not giving him all of you at once. It's the perfect emotional storm, and when done right, it doesn't matter who else is around, because you'll be the one he remembers. Not just for how you looked, but for how deeply and unexpectedly you made him feel. That's what lingers. That's what turns interest into obsession. Becoming someone's obsession isn't about overwhelming their life with your presence or trying to be everything all at once. It's about igniting a spark, something small but powerful enough to catch fire in his imagination, and then knowing exactly when to pull back so that spark doesn't burn out. When you're always available, always saying yes, or constantly trying to impress him, you become predictable. Predictability kills desire, but when you know how to give just enough of yourself to catch his attention, to make him feel something, and then retreat just slightly, you create a gap, and in that gap, desire builds. The truth is, obsession grows in spaces where there are questions left unanswered. If you show all your cards too early, there's no mystery, no edge, nothing left to discover. But if you show him layers, just one at a time, you create curiosity. And curiosity is the seed of obsession. You want him to lie in bed thinking, what's she doing right now? Why didn't she text me back immediately? Who else is she giving that amazing energy to? Not because you're playing games or trying to manipulate, but because you're showing that you have a life, standards, and emotional discipline. That's magnetic. There's something irresistible about someone who knows their value and doesn't feel the need to constantly prove it. When you act like a prize, you become one. But the trick is not to declare it, it's to embody it. Be engaging, be warm, be fun, but don't always be the one to initiate, to respond first, to fill every silence. Sometimes it's in the silence where the real magic happens, that moment where he expects a reply and doesn't get one. As that pause after a date where he wonders if you felt the same connection he did, that momentary gap after an amazing conversation when you say, I've got to go, but let's talk later. It's those little pullbacks that make a man lean forward. Men are wired to pursue, not because it's some outdated gender role, but because pursuit builds emotional investment. When someone has to work for your attention, when they feel like your presence is a privilege, not a guarantee, they start to value it more. And the more they value it, the more they think about it. The more they think about it, the more they want it. That's where obsession starts to take root. Not when you're everywhere, but when you're just out of reach, close enough to touch but never fully captured. Being the spark also means knowing how to bring the right energy in small, powerful doses. Think of the difference between a slow-burning candle and a flash of lightning. That lightning, quick, bright, impossible to ignore, makes a mark. You want your presence to feel like that. When you speak, say something that makes him think. When you laugh, make it genuine and contagious. When you compliment him, do it in a way that catches him off guard. And then leave. End the conversation before it gets stale. Exit the date while the energy is still high. Be the person who leaves while things are still exciting, not after they've cooled off. That final impression, the one you leave him with when you exit the moment, is just as powerful as the one you made when you entered it. If he's always left wanting more, wondering what you'll say next, how you'll make him feel next, or when he'll see you again, he'll start to crave your presence like a habit. Not because you pushed yourself into his world, but because you touched it just enough to make it feel incomplete without you. That's the art of being the spark, not the flame. The balance between presence and absence is one of the most powerful tools you can use to create desire, curiosity, and long-term obsession. When you're fully present in someone's company, when you're engaged, listening, laughing, and responding with genuine interest, you create a powerful emotional experience. It's in those moments that someone feels seen, heard, and connected on a deeper level. That's when they start associating you with a feeling they don't often get from others. But here's the key. It's not just about how intensely you show up. It's also about how gracefully you pull away. If you're always available, always texting first, always initiating plans, you create a rhythm that doesn't leave room for emotional tension to build. When there's no contrast between presence and absence, there's no longing. And longing is what creates obsession. When someone has constant access to you, they begin to take your energy for granted, even if they don't mean to. That's human nature. But if you master the ability to show up fully, being warm, engaging, memorable, and then step back, you leave a psychological gap. In that gap, your presence becomes magnified. You become larger in their mind than you even were in person because they start to replay the moments, wonder what you're doing, and crave the next interaction. When you're with him, you want to create an experience that feels rare. That means putting away distractions, making eye contact, laughing fully, being curious about him. Not out of strategy, but because you're confident enough to enjoy the moment without trying to control the outcome. That level of calm confidence is intoxicating. It makes someone feel like they're in the presence of someone who knows their worth. And when you leave, that contrast between the richness of your presence and the silence of your absence starts to work in your favor. Absence isn't just physical, it can be emotional, digital, or energetic. You might choose not to respond to every message right away. You might not always be the first one to say good morning or initiate plans. You may go quiet after an amazing evening, not as a game, but because you genuinely have a full life to return to. That silence, when placed after a powerful moment of connection, creates a vacuum. And that vacuum is where he starts to think, to question, to desire. Most people try to fill space with more attention, more communication, more proof that they're worth it. But obsession isn't born from constant exposure. It's born from selective, intentional exposure that creates a psychological loop. He feels good with you. Then you disappear just enough for him to start missing that feeling, and now he's motivated to seek it out again. You don't need to play hard to get. You need to be hard to get because your time and energy are truly valuable to you. That authenticity is what makes you magnetic. When you show that you're capable of creating amazing moments, but also capable of stepping back without fear, you create a dynamic where he starts investing emotionally. He starts thinking about what he can do to experience more of you. He starts wondering what it is about you that makes everything feel different when you're around. This subtle dance between giving and withdrawing becomes addictive, not in a manipulative way, but in a naturally compelling way. You're not trying to force someone to chase you. You're simply showing that you're not available on demand. And that space you create becomes the place where obsession grows. Curiosity is one of the most powerful emotional triggers when it comes to attraction, especially in the early stages of getting to know someone. The more a man wonders about you, the more space you take up in his mind. But curiosity only grows when it's nurtured with subtlety, not manipulation. That's why triggering curiosity, not jealousy, is the key to becoming unforgettable. When you create curiosity, you open a door he wants to keep walking through. But when you try to trigger jealousy, you shut that door with insecurity, control, or emotional games. One builds fascination, the other builds fear. Creating curiosity means living a life that feels full, dynamic, and meaningful with or without him. It means having your own passions, your own goals, your own social circle, and letting glimpses of that life show without trying to prove anything. You don't have to say, "I'm so busy and in demand." You show it by the way you move, the confidence in your voice, the fact that your time is valuable, and you're selective about where you spend your energy. When a man sees that you're not waiting around for someone to complete your life, but instead inviting someone into a life that's already rich, he becomes intrigued. He starts to wonder, what else is she into? Who else is lucky enough to be part of her world? What does she do when she's not with me? That wondering builds mental real estate. And mental real estate is what leads to obsession. Many people think that playing hard to get or flirting with other guys in front of him is how you create jealousy and make him want you more. But the truth is, jealousy often creates distance. It may get his attention in the moment, but it chips away at trust and security. And no one obsesses over someone they don't trust. In fact, if he feels manipulated, uncertain, or like he's competing for your approval, he may pull back. Not because he's not interested, but because he doesn't want to feel like a pawn in a game. Obsession doesn't come from confusion, it comes from clarity and desire. You want him to see your life and want to be part of it, not feel like he's battling for relevance. Curiosity, on the other hand, comes from subtlety. Maybe you mention in passing that you're working on something exciting. Maybe you post a story that shows you out with friends, having the time of your life. But you're not doing it for him. You're doing it because that's genuinely your life. He just happens to see the snapshot. And now he's wondering about the rest of the picture. What else is she doing? What's making her laugh like that? Who is she when I'm not around? That curiosity creates a pull. He wants to lean in, ask more questions, uncover more layers. When you lead with jealousy, the focus is on other people. When you lead with curiosity, the focus is on you. You become the center of gravity, not because you're loud or over the top, but because you're authentic, interesting, and slightly unpredictable in the best way. Predictability kills interest. But when you're consistent in your values while being unpredictable in the way you express yourself, he never quite knows what to expect, but he always knows he wants more. That's what keeps you in his mind even when you're not around. Not the anxiety of losing you to someone else, but the excitement of discovering more of who you are. Becoming someone's obsession doesn't mean bending yourself to fit their needs or expectations. It means standing tall in your own value and showing that you are the upgrade, not the project. You're not looking for someone to rescue you, fix your problems, or complete you. You've already done the work to build a life that feels good with or without anyone else in it. That mindset is magnetic because it communicates confidence, self-worth, and emotional maturity. When a man senses that you are whole, that your happiness isn't dependent on his validation, he doesn't see you as someone to manage. He sees you as someone to admire, respect, and prioritize. A lot of people think vulnerability means exposing every wound and waiting for someone to heal it. But real vulnerability comes from strength. It's the ability to say, I've been through things, I've learned, I've grown, and I know who I am now. When you carry that energy into a relationship, you send a clear message. I'm not here for a savior. I'm here to build something with someone who's on my level. That instantly sets you apart from people who chase love from a place of lack. You become the standard instead of the seeker. When you walk into a room or into a conversation with the belief that your energy enhances the experience, not because you're trying to entertain or impress, but because your presence adds something valuable, you create a different kind of attraction, one that's rooted in stability. You're not asking to be chosen. You're showing that choosing you comes with real benefits, peace, inspiration, fun, depth, growth. If you can grasp that inside of life, you get this actually out of. That's what makes a man obsessed. Not just attraction, but the realization that life feels better when you're in it. Many people make the mistake of trying to be low maintenance to appear more appealing. They think, if I don't ask for too much, if I keep things easy, he'll stick around. But what really makes someone stay is knowing that you have standards, that you expect to be treated with respect, that your time isn't available to just anyone. Being low drama doesn't mean being low value. You can be calm, kind, and still have boundaries like steel. That combination is incredibly attractive to someone who's emotionally mature. It tells him that you're not desperate for attention, you're selective with connection. And that selectiveness makes you rare. Men don't obsess over women who constantly seek approval. They obsess over women who live in alignment with who they are, who know what they bring to the table, and who aren't afraid to walk away if they're not being met with the same energy. You become the upgrade when you show that your life is already fulfilling, but you're open to sharing it with someone who enhances it. You're not trying to fill a void. You're trying to build something meaningful, and only someone who's ready for that kind of energy gets access to you. The moment he realizes that your presence brings more clarity, more peace, more laughter, more connection, not chaos or emotional dependence, that's when you become irreplaceable. You don't have to chase, convince, or prove anything. Your value speaks through the way you carry yourself, the way you speak with intention, the way you respond with grace, and the way you remove yourself from anything that doesn't serve your growth. That quiet strength is what lingers in his mind long after the conversation ends. Not because you asked him to think about you, but because you gave him something to think about. A woman who doesn't need to be saved, only seen. One of the most compelling ways to become someone's obsession is by mastering the art of unpredictability, keeping your emotional energy dynamic fresh and impossible to pin down. When someone never knows exactly what to expect from you, but they know it'll always be something engaging, real, or exciting, you keep their mind hooked. Predictability might feel safe, but it rarely stirs passion. Obsession, on the other hand, lives in that delicious tension between familiarity and surprise. It's the emotional roller coaster that people keep lining up for, not the flat road they can see for miles ahead. You don't need to act like someone you're not. You simply need to stay in tune with your natural emotional rhythms and let different sides of you show at different times. Sometimes you're light, playful, teasing. Other times you're thoughtful, deep, and reflective. Maybe you're bold and flirty one day, then calm and introspective the next. This isn't about being confusing or playing games. It's about showing that you are a multi-layered human being. The more dimensions you reveal over time, the more captivated he becomes. He's not just getting a one-note version of you. He's discovering a whole range, and that discovery process is what keeps him coming back. The key is to let this happen naturally, but intentionally. Most people, once they feel a spark, try to keep things steady. They pick a tone that seems to be working and stick with it. But that often leads to things becoming flat too quickly. In contrast, when you remain unpredictable in a grounded way, he starts to feel emotionally stimulated. He doesn't know what version of you he'll get next, but he knows he'll like it. That uncertainty is powerful. It creates anticipation, and anticipation is one of the main fuels of obsession. Emotional unpredictability isn't about being unstable, it's about being alive. When you're connected to yourself and in tune with how you're feeling, you allow your full personality to show up. That authenticity creates deeper emotional imprints. You're not afraid to shift gears mid-conversation, from silly to serious, from passionate to chill. That natural shift reflects someone who is emotionally aware and open, and it pulls people in because it makes every interaction feel like a unique moment, not a repeated script. Think about those conversations that just flow, where the energy moves and changes and keeps both people engaged without any pressure to perform. That's what you're creating when you stay emotionally dynamic. You're not trying to entertain, you're just letting your energy breathe. He may walk away from a date thinking, she was fun, and then she hit me with something deep. And then she made me laugh again. Those changes in tone don't confuse him, they captivate him. They keep him mentally revisiting the conversation long after it's over, trying to replay what made it feel so different. When you allow yourself to be emotionally fluid, you also give him space to do the same. He feels more comfortable dropping his guard, showing his own range and connecting with you on multiple levels. That layered connection is what creates obsession. Not just sexual chemistry or surface compatibility, but emotional depth and unpredictability that challenges and excites him. He doesn't just enjoy your presence, he becomes fascinated by it. It's not about being mysterious for the sake of it, it's about being fully human and unapologetically real. That emotional richness is rare, and when he feels it with you, he'll crave it like a habit he never wants to break. When you understand the subtle dance of presence and absence, when you learn to be the spark instead of the flame, and when you carry yourself with the quiet confidence of someone who knows their worth, you stop chasing obsession and start becoming the source of it. You don't need to play games, trigger jealousy, or over-explain your value. You simply need to live it. Obsession isn't born from trying too hard. It's born from standing in your power, creating emotional depth, and letting someone feel your energy, miss it, and come looking for more. When you master the art of lingering, of showing just enough and then gracefully pulling back, you don't just attract attention. You stay on his mind, his heart, and his lips long after the moment has passed. That's not manipulation, that's magnetism, and it's the kind that doesn't fade.